I've been with my fiancé, John, for 5 years now. We met when I was 18 and he was 19, and we've been inseparable ever since. We've had our ups and downs, of course, but I always thought we were on the right path, planning our wedding for July 2025. But something happened last weekend that completely shook me and made me question everything I thought I knew about him, his family, and my place in it. I never imagined I'd find myself writing a post like this, but I need advice. I feel so lost right now, and I'm struggling to figure out how to move forward. I've always been the curious type. I know I come across as the kind of person who asks a lot of questions, sometimes even seemingly trivial ones. But honestly, that's just how I am. A year ago, I saw an Instagram post that really resonated with me. It was an older woman's profile, full of inspirational quotes, and one quote, in particular, stood out to me. Only stupid people pretend to know everything. Don't pretend. Just ask. It changed my perspective completely. Before that, I was always so worried about looking foolish or embarrassing myself by not knowing something. But after reading that quote, I realized that I was limiting myself by pretending I understood things I didn't. Now, with that out of the way, let's get to the problem at hand. Last weekend, John's parents hosted a small family barbecue, just a casual gathering with close relatives. It was supposed to be a nice time, and I was excited to go. It was also my first time meeting some extended family members since I'd been with John for so long, but I never had the chance to meet everyone before. I showed up a little late because I had to work, but as I entered the house and walked toward the backyard, I overheard something that made my heart drop. John's mom, who I thought liked me, was speaking loudly, and her voice carried. At first, it just sounded like casual chatter. But then I realized she was mocking me. She was mimicking my questions, using a high-pitched, childish voice. How does the sun work? Where should I put the fork? Why does nobody like me? How do I wipe my behind? I froze. I just stood there, unable to move, as I heard everyone laughing, John included. I couldn't believe it. I didn't know what hurt more, the fact that she was mocking me or that John, the man I thought I would marry, didn't say a word in my defense. He just laughed along with them. I stood there, feeling humiliated, and then one of John's brother's wives tried to speak up. I actually don't mind her always asking questions, she said, her voice gentle. I think it's cute. I clung to that for a second, hoping for some support, but then John's mom quickly shut it down. It's not cute, she replied. She's just stupid. That was the moment it all hit me. John didn't stick up for me. He didn't defend me or try to stop the mocking. He just laughed along with the rest of them. My heart broke. I had always thought John's family liked me, but now I wasn't so sure. I felt like a fool for not seeing it sooner. I couldn't stay there after that. I quietly turned around and left, texting John that I wasn't feeling well and needed to go home. I wasn't ready to confront him or anyone just yet. I needed space to process everything. For the next few days, I kept my distance from John. We lived together, but I moved into the guest room. I told him I didn't want him to get sick from being around me, though deep down I wasn't sick at all. I was just trying to create some space. I couldn't ignore him forever, but I couldn't bring myself to face him either. I was hurt and I wasn't sure what to do. I kept asking myself, was it just a misunderstanding? Was it a joke that I shouldn't take so seriously? Or was it something deeper, something I wasn't ready to admit? I couldn't let this fester for much longer. I wasn't sure how to approach the situation, but I knew I needed answers. So, I did what felt right. I texted the wife of one of John's brothers. She was the one who had tried to defend me when I first heard the comments. I asked if we could meet up for coffee, as she agreed. When we met, I didn't want to pretend I hadn't heard what I had. After a bit of small talk, I just blurted it out. I overheard you all talking about me at the barbecue. Her face immediately dropped. "I'm so sorry," she said. "I should have said something. It wasn't a joke, and it wasn't funny. I don't know why they said that. It was mean." She admitted that she had been too uncomfortable to defend me in front of everyone. She apologized again, but I told her it wasn't her fault. I just needed to know the truth. And the truth was, they had all been laughing at me. Later that night, I had a dinner with John for the first time since the barbecue. It was uncomfortable, to say the least. I had been avoiding him, but I knew I couldn't ignore him forever. When we sat down, I looked him in the eyes and asked, "How does the sun work?" He looked at me confused. "What?" I repeated. "Where should I put my fork? Why does nobody like me?" And then it clicked. His face turned pale as he realized I had overheard everything. He nervously laughed, trying to cover up the situation. I told him calmly, "I was there. I heard everything." His initial reaction was anger. "You shouldn't have been eavesdropping," he said. I fired back, "You shouldn't have been mocking me." John tried to brush it off, saying it was all just a joke. But the more he spoke, the more I realized that he didn't get it. He didn't understand how hurtful it was. He didn't seem to get how much it hurt to be laughed at, belittled, and humiliated by his own family. As the night went on, I couldn't hold it in anymore. I told him that I needed a break. I told him that I couldn't be with someone who didn't defend me, and I couldn't marry into a family that thought so little of me. I left the apartment that night. I wasn't sure if I was making the right decision, but I knew I needed time to think. John kept texting me, calling me, asking me to come back. But I didn't want an apology from him. I wanted action. I wanted him to stand up for me, and instead, all he did was belittle my feelings. I didn't respond to his calls or messages. The next day, I agreed to meet him again, but this time it was different. He told me he had talked to his mom and told her that I had overheard their conversation. But honestly, at that point, it didn't matter. I didn't care about what his mom thought. It was up to John to show me that he truly cared. And at that moment, I realized I didn't believe him. I didn't believe that he respected me or valued me the way I deserved. I couldn't marry someone who didn't have my back. So I took off my engagement ring and told him it was over. I couldn't be with him anymore. I wished him and his family the best, but I was done. I'm proud of myself for leaving. I didn't deserve to be treated that way, and I wasn't going to settle for a relationship where I wasn't respected. It's been hard, but I know I made the right choice. I'm moving forward, focusing on myself and learning from this experience. Thank you to everyone who offered support, advice, and kindness. It really made a difference. I know I deserve better, and I'm grateful for this community that helped me realize that.